Olivia and welcome to Big Dream Crochet. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on the video and watching, and if you've been watching for a while, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Today we're gonna do a little crochet and chat today. So basically I'm gonna be working on my crochet project and just talking to you guys about my crochet origin story. So, you know, how I got started crocheting, what I want to do with it in the future, yeah, how I became a crochet pattern designer, and also answering some questions that you asked on my Instagram story. So if you missed asking a question, go follow me on Instagram so that way the next time I do one of these, you can ask your question. Well, I think that's about it for the intro, so go ahead, grab your crochet project. Today, I'm gonna be working on this headband, this velvet twisted headband that I've been making a lot of for market prep. So I do have a market coming up in October, and just the holiday season in general. I'm trying to really prep a lot right now so that way I don't have to do, you know, a lot when the busy season comes and I'm doing my market and all of that. So yes, today I'm going to be prepping for my markets by making a velvet twisted headband, which, by the way, this velvet twisted headband is my own design, and I am planning to release the YouTube tutorial and written pattern for that next week. So make sure you subscribe if you want to make your own velvet twisted headband. I always get so many compliments whenever I wear these, and I really think they're gonna sell well at my market. I really hope they do, at least, because I'm planning to make a lot of them. Okay, so make sure you have your project to work on, maybe a fun drink too. I am having a smoothie for breakfast, strawberry smoothie. And now let's go ahead and start chatting away. Okay, so I have a little note here to keep me on track, because I will end up talking for a really long time and just getting totally out of the loop on what's going on. So, okay, first off, I'm just kind of gonna give you a general introduction to myself. I feel like even though I have been on YouTube for a couple of months now and there's a lot of new people on here, I feel like I haven't really connected with you guys or just kind of like made things more personal. Like, I feel like you enjoy my videos, but do you know who I am? Like, do we have anything in common besides crochet? Those are kinds of the things that I'm gonna know, because I want to make friends with you guys. I'm Olivia and I am 20 years old. I have been crocheting for the past 2 years. Yeah, the past 2 years. I started in October 2021 when I was bored at school, well, at college. Oh my gosh, I have already messed this up. Okay. Yeah, so I started crocheting when I was bored at college because I just needed that extra hobby. I've always been really creative, but when I moved to college, I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do for hobbies, because I just kind of figured I was going to be hanging out with friends all the time or doing homework and things like that. But it ended up being that I had a lot of free time on my hands. So one day I was just scrolling on Pinterest and I saw this video of someone making I think it was a scrap yarn sweater. Yeah, that's what it was, where they were using, you know, all of their yarn scraps, like all of these, you know, tiny little balls of yarn to make a sweater. And I saw that and I was just immediately like, yep, I can do that. Let's do that. So I ordered hooks and yarn off of Amazon to the Amazon locker that we had on campus, and I was so excited to pick them up. When they finally came, I started making all of these tiny little crochet squares, just like, you know, little rows of squares. I didn't start with anything crazy, just single crochet squares, and it took me a while to get the stitches down, but I made those squares over and over and over again until they were perfect and I could do the stitches perfectly. And then I just jumped into making all kinds of stuff because I felt like I had the basics down, and I was like, yeah, I can totally go for it, making other kinds of stuff. So that's how I got started, and I am so glad that I saw that video on Pinterest, because learning how to crochet just has absolutely changed my life for the good, though. It's something I'm so passionate about and so excited to do. I love spending my time doing it, and, you know, talking with other people like you who also crochet and love to do it and are passionate about it. So I'm very grateful that I was bored that day in college and was perusing Pinterest and stumbled upon that video. So since I learned how to crochet, that was October 2021, and then in April of 2022, that's when I opened my Big Dream Crochet Instagram account and Etsy. So I started off by trying to sell my makes on Etsy. So I sold like market bags, checkered bags, that kind of things, but I only ever got one real order from like an actual customer, you know, someone who found my shop. All of the other orders I got were from family and friends, which I'm definitely grateful for, but there's nothing like, you know, having a true customer, someone who was a stranger that just came upon your shop and wanted to buy something that you made. It's a very different kind of purchase than when your family or friend, you know, makes a purchase. It's a different feeling that comes along with it. So on Etsy, I had only made like one of those sales, and I was like, you know, do I really want to sell my crochet makes? Like, they do take a lot of time, and, you know, I feel like the price point, like, it just wasn't worth it because I wasn't pricing my items properly too. So I kind of pivoted from selling my crochet makes online, and instead on Instagram, I learned that people actually wrote crochet patterns and sold them. So I was like, oh, hey, that seems like something that I could do. Like, I could totally design something and, you know, write up the pattern and sell it. So that's what I did in June of 2022. That's when I came out with my first ever crochet pattern, the basket weave bag and bucket hat. All my crochet patterns are on my Etsy, so that's what I started doing instead of selling my crochet makes. During that time, from April 2021 to June of 2021, when I started selling my patterns, I had grown my Instagram account to like a couple hundred followers or something like that. And, you know, by sharing my crochet patterns and all of that, I definitely started to gain a little bit of traction. But I really enjoyed posting. I posted all kinds of stuff on my Instagram, tutorials or just like crochet hacks, just crochet videos and inspiration, you know, things like that, stuff that is similar to what I post now still. For the summer, that summer of June 2021, I just continued. I think I released the bead bucket hat and bottle sling pattern a month after my first one, and I think that was, oh, and then in August I released my no-sew crochet picture frames pattern. Yeah, so I just went crazy with the pattern writing once I knew I could do it. It was really fun to make those patterns and yeah, just to design new things and then share them and see you know, you and, you know, other people love them and want to make it yourself. I just think that's the coolest thing. It's just crazy to me how the unique crochet pattern that I designed, other people want to use, and that, you know, those finished crochet projects are all over the world. I think that is so crazy and so cool, and yeah, I'm just so thankful that I found that avenue of crocheting because it really has opened up some doors. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that and super glad that I decided to just take a chance and write a pattern. So yeah, after that summer, then I went to college, and that was my last year of college. So I graduated 2 years early because I did a lot of college in high school. Yeah, I went to Arizona for my senior year of college, and there I just ran my business while going to class and all of that. I came out with a couple more patterns. I think I have 10 patterns available on my Etsy. Came out with like 3 or 4 patterns that fall. Because I was still so like, oh my gosh, I love pattern writing, and it is a lot of fun to design new things and all of that. And then I started this series called My Crochet Favorites, where I just shared like what my favorite crochet items are, or favorite crochet tricks or stitches, things like that. And I posted this one video that showed my favorite way to do a foundation chain. So that's where you make the actual chain that you put stitches into. Well, you can make both of those things at the same time, and I had learned it from a pattern that I had followed, and I just really liked the technique, and I was like, hey, this is one of my favorite techniques, let me share it for one of my crochet favorites. And that video went viral. I think now, oh, I haven't checked it in a long time because it's been a while, but that video got over 2 million views or something. And that was in like December, November of 2022. And so my Instagram account grew like crazy. I was getting thousands of followers every day, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't believe it. I had went into the year with only a couple hundred followers. Like at the beginning of the school year when I went to Arizona, I think I had like maybe like 500 or something like that. So I was still a relatively, you know, smaller account. And it was my goal. I said, I just want to hit 1,000 by the end of the year. 1,000 followers. That would be a cool goal to have. And I surpassed that like crazy. I'm pretty sure I was at 10,000 by the end of 2022, and then it just kept going and going, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it just does not stop. And I seem to have settled at about 68,000 followers on Instagram, which I still think is just so unbelievable. Like, I don't know, it's so crazy. I am so grateful for it. I never would have imagined that my Instagram account would have grown that much that fast. Like, Big Dream Crochet has only been around for a couple of years. It's been a crazy ride so far, and I'm so grateful for it. I love having a great community of such kind people. You are so nice, and I've met so many amazing crochet friends online. You know, there's not a lot of people that I know in person that crochet, so having an online community to share my projects with and talk about, you know, what I'm hoping to do next, that kind of stuff, it's really nice. And I never would have thought that I, you know, would be able to grow a community of like 68,000 people. I think that is wild. So thank you so much for being here. And if you know me from Instagram, thank you so much for, you know, being part of the community there. And to anyone new who's watching who doesn't follow me on Instagram, we would love to have you. I try to post there every day, at least on my Instagram stories, and I share other crochet content and things like that on my feed. That was at the beginning of this year, just continuing to grow on Instagram, make patterns, that kind of stuff. I've slowed down pattern writing just a little bit because I went absolutely crazy my first year and released like 10 crochet patterns, which is a lot definitely to design. I feel like I was doing them just back to back. Well, I'm still going to crochet pattern. I just released a pattern in June, but probably at a slower rate because this year I was really open to the idea of selling my crochet makes again, but not online this time, at in-person markets. And that's what I started doing. So I had my very first market in July, which I think a lot of you know about that already because you probably came here from either one of my market videos, my prepping for my first crochet market, or my results of my first crochet market. And that has been absolutely just a blast to do those kinds of markets, and it makes me so much more, you know, excited to still grow my business and all of that. I feel like I kind of got bored just writing crochet patterns, so having this new outlet of business has been really fun, and I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I've only done one market, but I do have some planned for, you know, this upcoming holiday season, and I really hope they go well because I would love to do more and more markets as I get more experience with them. So yeah, that's kind of my general introduction for like me as a crocheter and Big Dream Crochet as a business. Outside of Big Dream Crochet, I guess I could talk a little bit about who I am not as Big Dream Crochet. Like I said before, I'm 20 years old. I just had my birthday in July, and this past April, I actually graduated from college, so I got my bachelor's degree in psychology at university, and I'm so glad to be done. Even though I did graduate 2 years early, I really was so happy to be done with school. I had had enough. So yeah, I did live on campus in Arizona, and I'm very glad to be moved back home now where it's not super hot all the time, even though it's pretty hot today. Yeah, I just finished up my time at college, and with my bachelor's degree of psychology, I had hoped to like work with kids and families because that's what I have a lot of experience in, and I really love working with kids and, you know, helping out families. And I chose psychology because I'm definitely interested in behaviors and emotions, things like that, more so than I am teaching. And now that I'm graduated, I live at home with my family, which I am so happy to be back after 2 years away. I love my family and I love where we live. It's just really nice to finally be home again. I work a part-time job working with kids, and I do Big Gym Crochet as well. I would honestly say that Big Gym Crochet is my full-time job, and I just have a part-time job so I can have steady income, because Big Gym Crochet does not bring in like super steady income that I can rely on. I'll have good months and bad months, things like that. So it is just nice to have that part-time job, so I know that there's definitely some income that I can live off of and, you know, use for fun things and that kind of stuff. I think I've covered everything, and now we can move into the Q&A section, which is all the questions that you asked on Instagram. So first off, I did get some really good questions here, things that I'm excited to talk about. First off is, have I ever tried knitting or any other fiber arts kinds of hobbies? And the answer is yes, I have tried knitting. I do know how to knit like the most basic stitch. I still need help casting on if I ever do have a knitting project. Yeah, I would say that my brain just does not comprehend knitting the same way as I comprehend crochet. Like crochet comes to me very naturally, but knitting, I don't know, there's something about like having to use both hands. I feel like crochet is a little bit more freeform, like I can do whatever I want with these stitches, but knitting, it's like you have to do it a certain way, otherwise it, like, the stitches don't work, like it does not work. And I feel like in crochet there's a little bit more flexibility, so I definitely appreciate that. I think it's amazing people who can knit sweaters or even beanies. I just don't understand. And I have tried a lot of other, well, okay, maybe not a lot of other fiber artist hobbies. I was really into making friendship bracelets for a long time, you know. When I was younger, I used to work on a loom. Embroidery, I did embroidery and hand sewing for a little bit, but I don't have the patience to like do that as my main hobby. It's so small and every little stitch takes so much time. I think it's amazing when you see those big like embroidery projects, like where someone's made like a landscape of a mountain or something all out of like a needle and sewing thread or embroidery fuss. Like, I just think that is absolutely crazy because of just how much time I know goes into it. Okay, so someone was wondering, what is my pattern writing process and do I have people test my patterns? So my pattern writing process pretty much goes like this. I think of something in my brain and I'm like, oh, hey, I think that could be a good idea. And then I go sketch it out on Procreate on my iPad. I just use that app to doodle a little sketch. And then I make it. I make whatever I am designing, and I keep track of how many rows or how many stitches, the measurements, that kind of thing. So I keep track of that. Like, I take notes on what I'm doing, but I don't write the pattern as I go. So once I finish the design, then I'll take pictures of it and everything, and then I will start writing the pattern. I feel like that's kind of a backwards way to do it because a lot of people write the pattern as they design, but I always want to see if I actually like the design once it's all finished. So I will keep track of, you know, measurements and important details I need to write a pattern, but ultimately I will just do it afterwards because I will remember the process of everything that I did. And when it comes to like counting rows and stitches, that's always stuff that you can do afterwards too. So that is my process. I design it, I make it, and then I will write the pattern for it. When it comes to pattern testing, I've only had my patterns tested a couple of times. I believe it was with my first and second ever crochet patterns, but then I kind of leaned away from testing because I just felt that it was not something that I really wanted to manage. Like, to have a bunch of people working for me and hoping that everyone meets a deadline while everyone's, you know, all over the world in different time zones and things like that. It's just not something that I was ever excited about in the pattern writing process. And I just thought one day, I was like, you know, I don't really have to do this. Like, I can, you know, definitely reread my pattern like a million times and make sure that everything makes sense, be as clear as possible, put in video tutorials to help you through it. Like, that's the main reason why I had people test my patterns, is to make sure that like there were no typos or, you know, like no confusion in the pattern. But I knew that that was all stuff that I could check for myself. I don't have people test my patterns anymore. So one person asked, how many hours do I crochet and for how long have I been crocheting? So like I mentioned in the beginning, I've been crocheting for about 2 years now. Yeah, it'll be 2 years this October 2023. And concerning how many hours I crochet a day, let's see, for most days I crochet from like 9 to 12 or from like 10 to 12. Oh, this is my cat. I don't know. Yeah, you can definitely see her. This is my little kitty, Nova. We just got her. That is mine. That's mine. What was I talking about? Okay, yes. Concerning how many hours I crochet a day, honestly, I feel like I need to spend more time. Like, I need to wake up earlier in the morning, but most days I'll crochet from 9 to 12, and then I go work at my part-time job for a bit, and then I come back and then I crochet from like 7:30 until 10 or something like that. So about 6 hours. I know that is a lot of time to be crocheting, and I agree with you. It really is. Somehow my wrist and, you know, my hand is like never sore from this. Only some days, and with certain projects do I get wrist pain, but I don't know how it happens. I'm crocheting like 30 hours a week, which is why I said before, I'm pretty sure Big Jim Crochet is my full-time job, and I just have the part-time job on the side. That's mainly because I am prepping for my holiday season markets right now, and I just have a lot of things that I want to make sure that I don't like run out of inventory. That's it for that question. Do I want to crochet full-time? Yes, I do. I want to crochet full-time. It's so funny because people will ask me, oh, you just graduated college, like what are you gonna do now? And I know what the right answer is. The right answer is to say, oh, get a job, you know, working at a company and all of that, work in an office. Especially with my degree in psychology, that usually comes with, you know, working in an office or some kind of medical facility, and I think that's great. I see the benefits of getting a full-time job, like a serious, like, big job, but I want to crochet. I want to crochet full-time. I see the potential that my business has, and I know that I really could make it full-time. I know that I really can with a lot of time and effort and, you know, putting myself out there. I know that I can make it my full-time job. So that is what I want to do. I want to run my crochet business full-time. I think that would be amazing. That would be a dream come true for sure. It's my big dream. Hence the name Big Dream Crochet. Now you know. So that is what I want to do. And I definitely think that doing markets and having a YouTube channel definitely puts me one step closer to having Big Dream Crochet as my full-time income. I spend all my time working on my business. That would be great, and I would be so lucky and so grateful if that were to happen. This is the last question that you asked, so I think this might be, we're gonna be coming towards the end of the video here. What are my other hobbies? My other hobbies consist of reading. I would say that is my number one like other hobby. I guess those are the only two that I really read, is some kind of fantasy realism and then romance books, both young adult all the way. I love the young adult section. Other hobbies, I like to go outside and do fun things like that. I really like going outside, going on hikes, going on walks. I just got a paddleboard. I like to sew. I have my sewing machine here. I made myself an apron a couple months ago. Those are my other hobbies, but crochet does take a lot of my time, so I don't do those as often. I do those when I need a break from crochet. I think that concludes our crochet and chat time. I have almost finished this velvet twisted headband that I will be coming out with a tutorial and a written pattern that you can purchase next week. Thank you so much for chatting and crocheting with me. I hope that you made a lot of progress on whatever you are working on. Actually, you should share whatever you are working on in the comments below. I would love to see and maybe get some inspiration from whatever you're working on. So yeah, share that in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and hey, if you want to post a little like introduction for yourself, or you know, maybe introduce yourself to me, I get back to every single comment that people make on my videos, so I will definitely reply to you and read your introduction. I want to know you guys and be friends with you too. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you can get the tutorial for this velvet twisted headband that I will be releasing next week, and also just to get regular crochet content in your feed. I am glad that we got to get to know each other a little bit more. I hope you have a great rest of your week and get to crochet a lot, and I will see you next week.